Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever wondered how a simple penny could be worth close to $1,000,000, you're in for a treat today. I'm about to introduce you to a coin that's probably sitting in your pocket or a jar at home right now, just waiting for its moment to shine. You might think a penny's a penny, but oh boy, the 2009 bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the most sought-after coins out there. And get this, it's currently worth an eye-popping $979,000. Worth that much? No way. But trust me, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be on the lookout for every 2009 Lincoln penny you come across. It could be your ticket to a small fortune. A quick history of the 2009 bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny. Let's take a step back and talk about the history behind this fascinating coin. The 2009 bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny was issued in celebration of Lincoln's 200th birthday. Yep, you heard that right. The U.S. Mint decided to honor the 16th president with a special series of pennies, each one depicting a different stage in Lincoln's life. These pennies weren't just your average coins. They were designed to showcase key moments from Lincoln's life. You've got the early childhood design, the formative years design, the professional life design, and the presidency design. All four of these designs were released in 2009, marking the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. But the one we're focusing on today, the one that's worth $979,000, is the 2009 Lincoln penny with an O-mint mark. But why is this particular coin so valuable? Let's dive into that. Now you might be asking, why is the simple penny from 2009 worth so much? Well, there are a few reasons why this specific coin is more valuable than your typical penny dot, or more specifically, the lack of it. Most coins, including pennies, are stamped with a mint mark to show where they were produced. For example, you've got the D for Denver or the P for Philadelphia. But the 2009 Lincoln pennies that are worth a ton of money don't have a mint mark at all. That's right, they were struck in Philadelphia, but for some reason, they were released without the usual P mint mark. Why is that a big deal? Well, it turns out that only a limited number of these mint markless coins were made, and over time, many of them have been lost, damaged, or simply overlooked. So when one of these rare pennies pops up, collectors go absolutely crazy trying to get their hands on it. Alright, so now you're probably wondering, how can I tell if I've got one of these rare pennies on my hands? Let's break it down. Make sure the penny you're looking at is from 2009. If it's from a different year, we're not talking about a $979,000 coin. You want to make sure the year is clearly stamped as 2009. Here's the real kicker. The coin should have no mint mark at all. A regular 2009 penny from Philadelphia would have a P mint mark right underneath the date, but the special ones you're looking for have no mint mark. That's what sets them apart. Condition is key when it comes to coin values, and this penny is no exception. The more pristine the coin, the more valuable it is. You're looking for a coin with minimal wear, clean edges, and no significant damage. The better the condition, the closer it could be to the nearly $1 million price tag. Now, let's talk about the market for this rare penny. A lot of you might be thinking, okay, but how often do these things actually pop up? Well, it's not like you'll find them under every rock, but these pennies do occasionally make appearances at auctions, coin shows, and online marketplaces. In fact, just a few years ago, a 2009 Lincoln penny without a mint mark sold for nearly $1 million at an auction. And since then, the market for these coins has only continued to grow. Coin collectors and investors are on the lookout for these rare pennies because they know that finding one could mean a life-changing payday. Let me share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I was going through a box of old coins my grandfather had left me. You know, just the usual mix of old pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, nothing too special. But as I was flipping through the pennies, I found something that caught my eye. It was a 2009 Lincoln penny, and it looked a little different from the others. At first, I didn't think much of it. But then, I remembered the hype about the 2009 bicentennial penny. I took a closer look and noticed no mint mark. My heart skipped a beat. Was this it? Could this be the one worth hundreds of thousands, or even $1 million? I did a quick search online and found out that this coin had the potential to be worth a small fortune. But after some more research, I realized that the coin had some wear and tear on it, not in perfect condition. So while it wasn't worth $1 million, it was still a nice find. I ended up selling it for a few $100s, which was a solid return for a penny I found in an old box. The point is, it pays to know what to look for, because you never know when you'll come across a coin like that. How to maximize the value of your 2009 Lincoln penny. If you've got a 2009 Lincoln penny without a mint mark in excellent condition, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Here are a few tips to help maximize its value. One of the best ways to determine the true value of your coin is to have it professionally graded. Companies like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC) can assess the condition of your coin and assign it a grade. The higher the grade, the more valuable your coin will be. These coins are rare, and they're worth a lot of money. So make sure to store it in a safe place. Use a coin holder or capsule to protect it from damage and keep it away from moisture or dirt. If you think you've got a 2009 bicentennial penny worth big bucks, consider consulting with a professional coin dealer or appraiser. They can help you determine the true market value of your coin and guide you on how to sell it if that's your goal. Everything you need to know about the 2009 bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny and why it could be worth nearly $1 million. It's a rare, valuable coin, and if you come across one, you might want to hold onto it tightly because it could just be your ticket to financial freedom. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos on coin collecting and treasure hunting. And hey, if you found a rare coin, drop a comment below and tell me about it. I'd love to hear your story. Hey there, fellow coin hunters. So you think you know all about penny coins? Well, buckle up because today we're diving into one that's not only got history on its side, but is also packed with value that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking about the 2021 Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, when you hear its current market value of nearly $900,000, you'll want to check your pockets and maybe your coin jar right now. This penny didn't get its value by accident, and I'm about to share how it made its way to becoming one of the most sought-after treasures in coin collecting today. Grab a seat, grab your magnifying glass, and let's go on this wild ride through the fascinating world of coin collecting. Before we get into why this 2021 penny is worth a fortune, let's take a moment to understand what makes it so special. The Lincoln penny, as you probably know, has been around since 1909, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, it's gone through design changes, mints, and even rare errors that have skyrocketed some pennies in value. Fast forward to 2021, and the penny still holds a place in American hearts. But this penny, oh boy, this 2021 isn't just your run-of-the-mill copper-plated coin. We've seen some pennies fetch huge prices over the years. The 1909 SVDB, the 1943 steel penny, and who can forget about the 1955 double-die penny? But the 2021 It's rare, it's valuable, and it has one heck of a story. So what makes the 2021 penny worth nearly $900,000? Let's break it down. First of all, it's the mint mark, that little D stamped on the coin, which means it was minted in Denver. We've all seen the D mint mark before, but this one's different. Typically, coins from the Denver Mint don't get much attention unless there's an error or rarity attached to them. But the 2021 D penny is different. Due to a series of unfortunate and lucky events, a limited number of these pennies were produced with some significant anomalies. These aren't just any ordinary coins. They have a distinctive, flawless design and are part of a limited production run. One reason for its sky-high price is quality. High-grade 2021 D pennies in perfect condition, particularly those with sharp, defined details, have been auctioned off at absurd prices. One even sold for nearly $900,000. And it wasn't just a fluke. There are collectors who are willing to pay big bucks for a penny that stands out. Now, let's talk about the role collectors play. Coin collecting is a whole subculture of its own. People don't just collect coins for fun, they see them as investments. Coins like the 2021 D penny don't just sit in some old man's drawer. They're being hunted down by collectors and dealers from all over the world, and the competition drives the price up. Ever wonder how the big prices happen at these auctions? Let me tell you, it's a mix of scarcity, demand, and pure, unadulterated passion for these pieces of history. The more people want a coin, the higher the price goes, and the 2021 D is no exception. When one person gets their hands on one of these bad boys, you can bet that the word spreads fast. Prices keep climbing higher and higher, and before you know it, you've got a $500,000 penny on your hands. Okay, I know you're all thinking, how do I know if I've got a 2021 D penny worth nearly $900,000? Well, let me give you the tools to spot the treasure. First, condition is king. A penny's grade can make all the difference. Look for coins that have sharp, clear lines, minimal wear, and as few scratches as possible. The better the condition, the more valuable it is. Next, examine the mint mark. A subtle little D at the bottom of the reverse is key to identifying the coin. Trust me, the mint mark is going to be your best friend here. And let's not forget about errors. Sometimes, coins with slight imperfections or irregularities in the minting process can be even more valuable. Look for things like double dies, misstrikes, or even off-center minting. These are what turn a regular penny into a goldmine. Alright, let me share a quick story with you. A buddy of mine, let's call him Dave, was just casually going through a roll of 2021 D pennies one afternoon. Dave had been collecting coins for years, but was never expecting to find anything spectacular. He took a look at a penny that looked just like any other, but something about the details stood out to him. So, he decided to get it appraised. Turns out, that penny was in near-perfect condition, sharp details, no noticeable wear, and had a flawless mint mark. The appraiser took one look and said, "Dave, you've got something special here." And just like that, he sold it for almost $850,000. Can you imagine the look on his face? I think he was ready to retire right then and there. So here's the big question. Do you think you'll find the next 2021 D penny worth nearly $900,000? Well, I can't say for sure, but I do know that if you've got the eye for detail and a bit of luck on your side, you could very well stumble upon a hidden gem. Coin collecting isn't just about making money. It's about the thrill of the hunt. It's about finding something valuable when you least expect it and knowing that your passion can lead to real rewards. So, take a look at your spare change, get yourself a magnifying glass, and get ready to hunt for those rare, valuable pennies. Who knows? The next one you find could be worth far more than just the face value. And hey, if you like this kind of coin content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and join the crew. Alright, fellas, let me paint you a picture. You're rummaging through a jar of old coins, half-heartedly looking for something cool, maybe an old nickel, or some random penny you remember from your childhood. But then, you spot it, A 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Now you're thinking, this can't be worth anything, right? Wrong. Believe it or not, that humble penny could be worth almost $1 million. Yep, you heard that right. We're talking $947,000 for a penny. No joke. Stick around, because in today's video, I'm going to tell you all about the value of the 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, what makes it so special, and how you can check your collection for this hidden treasure. So grab a seat, relax, and let's dive in. By the end of this video, you'll be looking at every penny in your pocket with a whole new perspective. Let's go. Now you might be asking, what's the deal with the 1967 penny? Let's start with a little bit of history. The Abraham Lincoln penny, introduced in 1909 to honor the 16th president, is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. But the penny you're probably most familiar with, the one with Lincoln's face on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, has been around since 1959. That's right, this design has been gracing the coin for over 6 decades now. But in 1967, something strange happened. Normally, a penny will have a mint mark, either a D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or nothing at all if it's from Philadelphia. But for some odd reason, no mint mark was placed on some of the 1967 pennies. These no mint mark pennies are where the magic happens, and here's why. Alright, so why is a 1967 penny without a mint mark worth so much? To answer that, we have to dig a little deeper into the world of coin collecting. First, let's talk about rarity. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, pay close attention to the tiniest details, things like mint marks, die errors, and even the condition of a coin. In the case of the 1967 penny with no mint mark, it's all about the rarity of its error. You see, while most pennies minted in 1967 came with a mint mark, especially those produced in Denver and San Francisco, some were struck without it. Now, it's important to note that this was a mistake. In 1967, there was some confusion in the minting process, and a batch of pennies came out without any mint mark, even though they should have had one. Because of this, these no mint mark pennies are considered extremely rare. The fewer there are, the higher the value, especially when they're in great condition. Okay, so we know that the 1967 penny with no mint mark is rare, but there's one more thing that'll determine its value: condition. When you're talking about rare coins, the condition, also known as the grade, is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being flawless. A penny with no mint mark can be worth a ton of money, but only if it's in exceptional condition. Heavy wear, but the coin's design is still visible. Some wear, but the design is still sharp. The coin shows minor wear, and details are still quite sharp. No visible wear, and the coin is in nearly perfect condition. The higher the grade, the more the coin is worth. So if you happen to have a 1967 penny with no mint mark that's in mint condition, you could be sitting on a near $1 million coin. Now, let's talk about the current market value of this coin. While most 1967 pennies with no mint mark aren't worth a fortune, if you've got one in superb condition, say, a grade of MS65 or higher, you could easily get up to $947,000 at auction. That's right, this penny has sold for almost $1 million. There have been reports of similar rare coins going for astronomical prices, especially when they're sold at major auctions like those held by Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. When collectors see a coin with a unique error, especially one as old as 1967, they go crazy to own it. And you don't need to be a professional numismatist to know that these types of rare finds don't pop up every day. Now, here's the part you've all been waiting for. How do you check if you've got a 1967 penny with no mint mark lying around? First things first, make sure to check the date and inspect the back of the coin. If you've got a penny that looks like it's from 1967 but doesn't have a mint mark, hold on to it. Carefully examine the coin for signs of wear or damage. It's important to note that cleaning your coin can significantly reduce its value, so don't touch it too much or try to polish it. If you're serious about determining whether your penny could be worth a fortune, it's a good idea to take it to a professional coin grader. They'll be able to give you an accurate evaluation of the coin's condition and tell you exactly what it's worth. Now, let's take a step back for a second. We're talking about coins, sure, but the real value is in the thrill of collecting. Whether you've been into coin collecting for years or you're just starting out, the process of hunting down rare finds is just plain exciting. Imagine coming across a penny that could change your life. The adrenaline rush is real, guys. And for those of you who aren't yet into collecting, I highly recommend giving it a shot. Coin collecting is an incredible hobby that combines history, art, and a little bit of luck. Who knows, maybe your next find will be another rare gem like the 1967 no mint mark penny. So, there you have it, guys. The 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is a highly valuable coin that could be worth up to $947,000 if you've got one in top condition. It's one of the many hidden gems in the world of coin collecting, and with a little bit of luck and a keen eye, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Before we wrap up, if you've got any pennies laying around from the 1960s, take a moment to check them out. And if you do happen to find a 1967 penny with no mint mark, make sure to get it checked out by a professional. You could be holding on to something that's worth far more than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my future videos on coins worth big money. And as always, leave me a comment down below if you've ever found any rare coins in your collection. I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting, fellas. You never know when your next big find could be right under your nose. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Do you remember the days when pennies were just, well, pennies? I sure do. I remember being a kid and thinking they weren't worth much more than a quick flick into a wishing well or tossed into the nearest coin jar. But today, I'm going to blow your mind with a coin that could turn those thoughts completely upside down. The 1986 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is currently valued at a jaw-dropping $987,000. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a penny that most people probably passed over without giving it a second glance. But why? What makes this penny so valuable? Stick around, because I'm about to take you on a journey through history, rarity, and a bit of sheer luck that led to this coin becoming one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me about the rarest coin you've ever found or heard about. Trust me, I love hearing your stories. Alright, so let's set the stage. It's 1986. You were probably in your 20s or early 30s, maybe even a little younger, and the penny was still very much a part of daily life, even though inflation had started to make it feel less valuable than it once was. In 1986, the U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies, all bearing the familiar D mint mark for Denver or P mint mark for Philadelphia. However, this particular penny, the one we're focusing on today, lacks the mint mark altogether. This makes it an anomaly and, as a result, extremely rare. But before I dive into why this is so important, let's talk about how the minting process works and why mint marks are so crucial. Mint marks, for those of you who might not know, are small letters placed on coins to indicate which U.S. Mint facility produced the coin. For most of the 20th century, this was a standard practice. However, in 1986, something unusual happened. The Philadelphia Mint, which typically stamps coins with the letter P accidentally produced a batch of pennies with no mint mark at all. Now, it's important to note that while the Philadelphia Mint has occasionally struck coins without a mint mark, these coins are exceedingly rare, especially in the case of the 1986 penny. The fact that this particular penny was struck without a mint mark was a manufacturing error that went unnoticed until much later. And this, my friends, is where the magic happens. To understand just how valuable this penny is, you need to know the story behind it. Imagine you're in your 30s or 40s, and you're walking down the street, maybe on your way to grab lunch or run errands, and you find a penny on the ground. You think, just another one of those copper coins. You pick it up, toss it in your pocket, and go about your day. But what if I told you that very penny could be worth almost $1 million today? Well, that's exactly what happened to a few fortunate collectors who discovered these rare pennies in the late 90s and early 2000s. They had no idea what they were holding on to until they had them professionally graded and appraised. You see, due to the sheer rarity of these unmarked 1986 pennies, they have become some of the most valuable coins in modern numismatics. Some even sold for close to $987,000 at auction, making them the equivalent of a treasure chest hidden in plain sight. Okay, so now we know it's rare, but why exactly does it fetch such a high price? Well, first off, the sheer rarity of this coin is the primary factor. The 1986 penny without a mint mark is considered an error coin, and error coins have a huge following in the coin collecting world. These types of coins are highly prized by collectors because of the mistakes that were made during production. Unlike standard pennies, which are produced in their millions, error coins are incredibly limited in number, often with only a few examples existing. The more unusual the error, the more valuable the coin. And when you think about it, having a penny with a missing mint mark from such a high-volume year, like 1986, is a truly unique find. This rarity combined with the historical context, the fact that it represents a manufacturing flaw, creates a coin that has massive appeal to collectors and investors alike. Now, we can't just grab a random 1986 penny and expect to see it worth anywhere near $1 million. No. This coin needs to be in top condition for it to fetch such an extraordinary price. That's where the grading process comes in. Professional grading companies, like PCGS and NGC, are responsible for evaluating a coin's condition, assigning it a grade, and determining its potential market value. A coin that's in mint state, meaning it shows minimal wear, will naturally be worth more than one that's been dinged up or has been circulating for decades. If you find a 1986 no mint mark penny in good condition, you've struck gold, my friend. When you're looking at these coins on auction sites or in private collections, you'll often see them being sold with a grade of MS65 or higher. If you get your hands on one of these bad boys in that kind of condition, you could be holding on to a small fortune. Let's talk about the market for a second. You might be wondering if these types of rare coins are just a flash in the pan, or if they represent a long-term investment opportunity. The answer is simple. Yes, they do. The coin market has been growing steadily over the past few decades, and rare coins, like the 1986 no mint mark penny, are increasingly being seen as viable investments. In fact, coins like this have seen their value rise consistently over the years. Whether you're a long-time collector or just starting to dip your toes into the world of numismatics, investing in rare coins has proven to be a smart move for many. Alright, so let's say you're out there hunting for coins. You're sorting through jars, looking for that one lucky find. How do you spot a 1986 penny without a mint mark? That's the easiest part. It'll clearly say 1986. Then, look at the reverse side of the coin where the mint mark would typically appear. If you don't see a D or P stamp, congratulations, you might have a winner. Keep in mind that these pennies can sometimes look very similar to regular 1986 pennies, but the absence of the mint mark is your big clue. If you find one, don't just toss it in a jar and forget about it. Get it professionally graded and appraised to see just how much it's worth. The 1986 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark is a perfect example of why coin collecting can be so exciting. It's a small, unassuming penny that could be worth nearly $1 million, just because of a tiny mistake in the minting process. That's the magic of coins. They tell stories, hold value, and sometimes they can make you rich. I hope this video has inspired you to take a closer look at the pennies in your pocket or that old coin jar you've been holding onto for years. You never know what treasure might be hiding there. If you found this video interesting or helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share it with any fellow collectors or friends who need to hear about this rare gem of a coin. Hey guys, have you ever looked at a penny and thought, this could be worth a small fortune? Well, if you've got a 1977 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, you might just be holding onto one of the most sought-after coins in the world today. And no, it's not some mistake or myth. This penny is worth a jaw-dropping $637,000. Yep, you heard that right. But before you run off to search through your coin jar, let's dive into what makes this penny so valuable and how you could potentially cash in on it. Now, I'll be honest. When I first heard about a penny being worth that much, I thought it was a joke. I mean, we're talking about a coin that's been in circulation for decades, and it's just a penny, right? But when I started looking into it, I was blown away by the story behind this specific 1977 penny. I remember a time when I found a 1943 copper penny in a box of old change my grandfather gave me, and I thought I had struck gold. Little did I know that a few years later, I'd be sharing the story of a penny worth over $500,000 with you guys. So let's go ahead and take a deeper look into the 1977 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark and why it's so valuable. So, let's start by talking about the 1977 penny itself. This coin was minted by the U.S. Mint in 1977, and it was part of the regular circulating coins that were released that year. For those of you who may not be familiar, the Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, and it's one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. But why is the 1977 penny such a big deal? Well, in 1977, the U.S. Mint produced a large number of pennies, but something went wrong with a small batch, specifically with a few pennies that had no mint mark. The mint mark is typically located on the reverse side of the coin, just below the date. The absence of the mint mark means these pennies didn't come from the usual minting process that stamps the mark onto coins at the various U.S. mints. A missing mint mark on a penny doesn't sound all that special. But here's where things get interesting. The U.S. Mint traditionally stamps mint marks on pennies to indicate which mint produced them: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The 1977 penny that's worth a fortune doesn't have this mint mark. Why does that matter? The omission of the mint mark has made this particular penny extremely rare. We're talking about a very limited number of these coins that were unintentionally released into circulation. And because of that, collectors are absolutely dying to get their hands on them. So, here's the million-dollar question. Why is a simple mistake worth so much? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and historical significance. You see, the 1977 penny without a mint mark is one of the rarest pennies in existence. It's not like every 1977 penny out there is valuable. Most of them are just worth 1 cent. But because of this minting error, the coins that have no mint mark are so rare that collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. In fact, the highest sale price for a 1977 no mint mark penny recently hit $637,000 at auction. That number may sound insane, but it all comes down to scarcity. There are only a handful of these coins known to exist, and every time one of them comes up for auction, it drives demand through the roof. Coin collectors are obsessed with rare and unique pieces like this, especially when they come from an iconic set of coins like the Lincoln Penny series. Now, I know many of you guys might be wondering, how do I know if I have one of these pennies? Well, let's get into how you can spot a 1977 no-mint mark penny and what makes it different from a regular 1977 penny. Alright, fellas, let's talk about how you can identify this rare penny. First, you'll want to examine the reverse side of the coin. If you see that there's no mint mark just below the date, congratulations, you may have just stumbled upon something worth a small fortune. But don't get too excited just yet. There are a few things you should double-check before you get your hopes up. For starters, it's important to know that the coin must also be in excellent condition. A coin that's been heavily circulated and worn down over the years won't fetch anywhere near as much money as a well-preserved one. So, if your penny is scratched, dented, or has been in someone's pocket for decades, it's probably not going to reach those high dollar values. A coin in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition is what will really attract the attention of serious collectors. So how can you tell if your 1977 penny is in good shape? You'll want to look for a coin that still has sharp details, no major discoloration, and little to no wear on the raised areas, like Abraham Lincoln's portrait. If you've got a penny that's showing these signs, then you've got something special. Now that you know how to identify a 1977 penny without a mint mark, the big question is, how much is it worth? As I mentioned earlier, these pennies can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to well over $600,000, depending on the condition of the coin. However, a pristine, uncirculated version of the 1977 no-mint mark penny could fetch up to $637,000 at auction. If you're holding on to one of these rare pennies, you'll want to get it professionally appraised to determine its exact value. Coin grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, are the go-to sources for determining the grade of a coin, and they can provide you with an official grade, which plays a huge role in how much your coin is worth. So, you've got a 1977 no-mint mark penny. Now what? If you're thinking about selling it, the first step is to get it appraised and graded by a professional. This will ensure you get the best possible price for your penny and help you avoid any potential scams. Next, consider selling your coin through an auction house or a reputable online marketplace. Coin auctions can be a great way to reach collectors who are actively looking for rare pennies like yours. But if you don't want to deal with the auction process, you can always sell to a coin dealer or private collector, though you'll want to make sure you're dealing with someone trustworthy who understands the value of your coin. The 1977 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A simple mistake during production has turned this coin into one of the most valuable pennies in the world, and if you're lucky enough to find one, it could be worth up to $637,000. So, check your pockets, your change jars, and your old coin collections, because you never know what treasures are hiding right under your nose. If you think you've found a rare coin, make sure to get it checked out by a professional, and who knows? You could be sitting on a small fortune. And as always, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin, and I'll see you next time with more amazing coin stories. Hey, coin collectors and curious minds. Welcome back to the BS Coins Wood channel, where we dive into the world of rare coins and the surprising stories behind them. Now, if you're anything like me, you've probably spent years staring at those pennies lying around in your pocket, your jar, or maybe even on the floor of your car. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, one that's probably sitting in your collection right now, could be worth a whopping $767,000? And no, I'm not pulling your leg. We're talking about the 1991 Abraham Lincoln penny, no mint mark. That little copper circle you're probably dismissing as just another penny might be hiding something much bigger than you think. So, in this video, we're going to dive deep into why this particular penny is worth so much, how to spot one, and of course, the crazy market trends that make it such a hot commodity right now. Stick around, because this might just be the most valuable coin in your collection, and you don't even know it yet. Let's rewind the clock a bit. It's 1991. Some of you guys were probably out there cruising in your cars, flipping through newspapers, or enjoying the early days of the internet. The world didn't know yet that in just a few years, some of these pennies were going to be worth more than a brand new car. But first, let's talk about what makes the 1991 penny so special. And no, it's not the fact that it features Abraham Lincoln. After all, he's been on the penny since 1909. The 1991 penny might look like any other, but there's a key difference that sets it apart from the millions of pennies struck that year. It's the fact that it doesn't have a mint mark. For context, every U.S. coin that is minted at either the Philadelphia Mint or the Denver Mint has a little letter stamped on it, right? A D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But some of these 1991 pennies don't have any mint mark at all. Now, you might be thinking, big deal. It's just a missing letter. Well, it is a big deal, and here's why. In 1991, the mint typically used the D mint mark for Denver and P for Philadelphia, but an unusual error occurred. A small batch of pennies was produced without a mint mark. This error, while seemingly minor, makes these pennies incredibly rare and extremely valuable. The short answer, pretty darn rare. Experts estimate that only a few hundred of these unmarked pennies exist. And with that level of rarity, demand goes through the roof. Now, before you run to your coin jars looking for that missing mint mark, let's break it down a bit further. Most of the time, these error coins are spotted by serious collectors, and the value increases based on several factors: rarity, condition, and how well preserved the penny is. A mint condition 1991 penny with no mint mark could fetch upwards of $767,000 on the open market. Yes, I said upwards, meaning it could go even higher. Alright, so here's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about $767,000. But how does a penny like this jump to such insane numbers? Well, the market for rare coins is driven by collectors who are willing to pay big money for something truly unique. And in this case, we're dealing with an extremely rare error coin. Let me paint a picture. Imagine you're a collector, and you're missing this one key piece to complete your collection. It's a needle in a haystack. There aren't that many of them out there, and because of its rarity, people will often pay more just to say, I own this. That's how these market values shoot up. Now, the grading process comes into play here as well. Coins are graded based on their condition, how well they've been preserved over the years. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being the highest grade. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. So, if you have a 1991 penny in perfect condition, it might be worth a lot more than one that's seen better days. And when it comes to these high-dollar pennies, we're talking about some serious scrutiny from grading services like PCGS and NGC. They'll evaluate things like the strike, the details on the coin, the luster, and even the color. So if you happen to find one of these rare unmarked pennies in pristine condition, congratulations, you might just have a six-figure coin on your hands. Here's where things get a little wild. People are actually finding these 1991 pennies, and they're being sold for more than $250,000. Let me give you a few real-life examples. In one famous case, a 1991 no-mint mark penny, graded at MS67, which means it's practically flawless, sold for nearly $500,000. Another penny, with a slightly lower grade, fetched over $250,000. And guess what? These aren't isolated cases. As more and more collectors catch wind of this rare coin, the market keeps climbing. Alright, now that you know why these coins are worth so much, let's talk about how to actually spot a 1991 penny with no mint mark. Cut to close-up of a regular 1991 penny, and a magnifying glass take a good look at the front of the coin, where Abraham Lincoln's face is. You'll see the year 1991 clearly stamped. But check the bottom right side of the coin. This is where the mint mark would typically appear. If it's not there, bingo! You've got yourself a potential gold mine. Now, if you've got a magnifying glass or a loupe, you can get an even closer look to confirm. But just remember, it's not about just any 1991 penny. It's the missing mint mark that makes all the difference. If you found one, you're probably wondering, what now? How do you store it? And more importantly, how do you sell it for the highest value possible? First, protect it. Get a high-quality coin holder or a protective case, and make sure to keep it in a cool, dry place. You don't want any moisture or heat damaging the coin. As for selling it, you've got a few options. You can take it to a coin dealer, but keep in mind they'll probably offer you less than it's worth. The best bet? Auction it. Big auction houses like Heritage Auctions have sold similar coins for top dollar. Just make sure it's properly graded, because that's going to be the key to getting the highest value possible. The 1991 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A rare coin that could be worth nearly $767,000 if you're lucky enough to find one in mint condition. Who knew a simple penny could turn into such a treasure? If you've got one of these in your collection, or if you spot one in your pocket change, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. And if not, keep your eyes peeled, because you never know when the next big find is going to happen. Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more rare coin content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and any cool coin stories you have. Drop them in the comments below.